All right, so we are starting with chapter 2, section 1. We don't work the chapters the way the book does. We kind of rewrote everything. So you're going to notice like chapter 2 goes up to, I think, section like 11, 12, or 13. Okay? But like I said, normally if we would do a chapter test, that would be really bad because there'd be like 13 sections, right? But we only do quizzes, right? So that means that next week, Wednesday, you guys will have a quiz. Okay? So kind of remember that. I think the week after that, it's going to happen on a Thursday because remember, we have a 4-day weekend coming up next week. Okay? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So that means we got to push the quiz, but we try to keep it on Wednesday. But just remember, next week, Wednesday, we're going to quiz over everything. We start today, Friday, and Monday. Okay? So like I said, section 2.1a, order of operations, is what we're going to be going over. Now you might be saying, I already learned this a long time ago. Remember, every math class starts with a review, right? A sort of review. That's what basically chapter 2 is. It's a big review over everything you should know. Okay? Even a little bit of chapter 3 does a little bit of review, and then we start getting into harder stuff. Okay? Um, so let's start off with the basics here. All right? Oh, hold on. Here we go. So we have this that you guys probably learned a long time ago. All right, so PEMDAS, right? Some people actually call it BOMDAS, which I've seen in different countries will use different things, but this is pretty much what we go by. So the P stands for your parentheses, right? So parentheses. That means that you should be doing parentheses first, okay? Anything inside of a parentheses gets done first. After that, we're going to do exponents. Okay. The next part is the reason why TikTok is so popular right now with math. In TikTok, there's always people say nobody can do this, right? And they write a problem that looks like 60 divided by 2 times, what is it, like 3 plus 2. And they're like, nobody can solve this, right? And then they do this work, and then people are trying to do answers. But anytime you answer the right answer, you notice they just ignore you, right? Because they're just trying to get people to like, oh, no, that's a good guess, but that's wrong, right? But tons of people do this. Before we get to the end, we'll get an answer for this, okay? But you're supposed to do multiplication and then division. And I apologize for my writing right now. I haven't really done a lot of writing for about a whole summer, so I'm kind of getting used to it, just like you guys do. So here's the catch though. Multiplication or division, they can be done one or the other. Okay, it depends on which one comes first from left to right. Okay, so I'm going to put in order from left to right. So if division comes first, you do division first. If multiplication comes first, you do multiplication first. You don't only do multiplication first. It's multiplication or division. Okay, same happens to addition or subtraction. So we have, addition subtraction. This is going to be the same thing in order from left to right. Okay, I know that I talk about TikTok. You guys, I mean, you guys have TikTok, right? I never really used to have it, but someone convinced me to get it. I'll watch it every once in a while. You guys ever seen those guys that swear they have the force? And they have a little piece of paper on the table and they go like this, and all of the paper moves, and they're like, oh, that was so hard to do, and everybody's like, you're using wind, and they just ignore it, right? But like, I don't know, it's just weird, the stuff that's on TikTok. So anyway, order from left to right. So what would be my answer for that little question I have up there? Anybody know? 0.6. So 60 divided by 2 times 3 plus 2 is 0.6. 6? Any other different answers? We already have 2 different answers. Huh? Well, what am I supposed to do first? Parentheses, right? So if I do parentheses first, this becomes 60 divided by 2, and that'll be a 5, right? What do I do next? Not multiply. You gotta divide first, right? Isn't that what I put in green? Multiplication or division in order from left to right. 60 divided by 2. That's 30 times 5. That's 150, right? This comes out to 150. Now what you guys did is what most people will do. Multiply first because M is before D, right? And that's why on TikTok they're like, nobody can get this right. And the people who that know PEMDAS really well, they're like, of course we can get it right. Here's the answer. But they always ignore us, right? As a mathematician, I'm right there doing like 150, and they just keep ignoring me, right? So I just leave because I get frustrated because they don't want to get the right answer or else their stream ends, right? But yeah, it's an easy mistake to make, right? Because you're following the order of operations, M before D, but remember, multiplication or division, okay, in order from left to right. So I'm going to put a little or in between right here, and same with addition or subtraction, okay? It's one of those things where you got to look at the order in which it's coming, okay? And that'll help you out. So that's a very easy question in a sense, but it is tricky because sometimes we take things literally and we think we got to multiply first, right? So anyway, I mean, these types of problems have been around Facebook. They've been around MySpace. This is before you guys may have been alive. They used to come out, and all the time people are trying to get right answers, and it's just like, it's amazing how many times people forgot order of operation. So, all right, so anyway, this is what we're going to be following, okay? Parentheses, exponents, multiplication or division, addition or subtraction, okay? Depending on the order in which it comes in. Now, for homework, you guys have 18 problems, okay? Remember I told you, I take your notes from your homework. That means I try to do, if I can, half of the assignment. Sometimes my lessons run a little longer. If you guys are okay with me trying to do about half of your homework for you, that way you have the other half to do, then you'll be okay with me taking a little bit longer teaching. If you guys eventually get tired, you're like, no, Mr. V, just give me 20 minutes, a good solid 20 minutes. Then I'll do like 4 examples, and if we had 20 problems, you're going to be doing 16 of them. But if you're like, no, I'm okay with you doing 30 minutes some days, maybe I can do 10 of them and you just have 10 left, right? So the more you let me do, if you can stand me, right, the less you have to work on. Okay, so that's usually the way my classes go, which is the reason why I tell people I don't understand why you don't turn in homework, right? Let me pause it really quick. All right, so I'm back here. So let's do some of these problems, okay? We're going to go through, if we can, about half of the problems that you guys have to do. So, by the way, the numbers that I'm putting are not the numbers on the homework. This is just example number 1, okay? So here we go. We're going to evaluate. Now, they don't want you to use calculators, okay? So try to resist it, all right? So the first one here, very simple, okay? Now, does it matter whether I add or subtract first? Yeah, in order from left to right, okay? Since addition shows up first, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add first, okay? So 4 plus 5. That's going to give me 9 minus 1, and obviously 9 minus 1 is 8. So we're good. All right. That's a little too easy. Let's move on to something else. Okay. So we'll try something like this. Again, these are homework problems. I'm not making them up. Okay. These are things that are on your homework that you guys are going to have to do, okay? And they slowly start to get a little more difficult. So I got 4 plus 1 inside of a parenthesis times 5. According to order of operations, I have to do the parentheses first, right? Inside of the parenthesis, there is a 4 plus 1. And I think I heard someone tell me the answer earlier right now. But that would be 5. And 5 times 4 is 20. So there you go. Now I'm going to show you from this group of problems, because example number 1 is a group of 6. This is what the hardest problem looks like in this group of 6. And they're going to say use x as negative 2 and z as 2. So they're basically going to make you write the problem out. Now notice zx is a product, okay? Anytime you write two letters or or a number and a letter together, that means that they're multiplying each other. So that really is z times x. So when you plug in your information, z, we said, is 2. X is a negative 2. So I'm going to put that in a parenthesis here. That way we don't get confused there. But it's 2 times a negative 2 squared. Now I know it does have an exponent, okay? I know there's an exponent, but that always goes after you fix the parenthesis, okay? And I like this problem because a lot of people kind of miss it. And I don't like it because you miss it, but I like it because people don't think before they speak sometimes. So try to do this one. Think about it before you spit out the answer. 2 times negative 2, that's easy, right? That's negative 4. Okay. What's negative 4 squared? 16. If you put negative 4 squared on a calculator, what do you get? Anybody have a calculator? Do me a favor. If you do, bring it out. I want you guys to see. And actually, yeah, I'm looking to see if any of you guys have a calculator with us. What happens when you type in negative 4 and you square it? It gives you negative 16. It's kind of weird, right? Because we trust the calculator, right? Whatever the calculator says, we kind of take that as gospel, right? And we're like, that's the answer. If you go on your calculator and you press this button, which it might look like this for you, or maybe it looks like this for your negatives, right? If you press that button, and then you type in your 4, and then most of you guys have a button that says x squared, which means you're going to square it. If not, maybe you have a button that looks like this, x to the y, or maybe you have a button that looks like this, a caret symbol. I'm not sure which one you have. This is why it's important that you guys own your own calculator and you get used to it, because if I give you any random one, it can be any one of these options, right, for powers. And then you, in this case, you'd have to press a 2 if you use the bottom ones right here. And then you hit enter. The answer comes out to negative 16. Okay? The reason why is because this is what the calculator sees. That's what it sees, a negative 4 squared. Well, the way it's written, you're supposed to apply the power of 2 just to the 4, so that's a negative 16. Your calculator's not wrong. It's right. Negative 4 squared is negative 16, right? Now, what if you type it the way I wrote it, like this? What answer does it give you? Now it gives you 16. Because now it says, oh, you want me to square negative 4, the whole negative 4. So negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. This way, it's just squaring the 4, not the negative. Okay? So if you ever wondered, why the heck do I have parentheses on a calculator? That's why. Because different ways that you write things can give you different answers. And your calculator's not wrong. You put it in wrong. So be careful. Whenever you square negative numbers, put them in parentheses, okay? Or else it's going to give you some weird stuff. All right. Any questions on these first 3? I know we kind of went on a tangent, but it's good for you guys to see that your calculator, it's right. It's always going to be right. But you may have put it in wrong. So just be careful, okay? That's why it's always better to do it in your head, because you know -2, if I square it, it's going to become positive, right? Because any negative number squared is positive. So trust in yourself a little bit here. Don't always go right to the calculators for all the answers. All right. Second type of problems that they're going to have you do. The instructions on these say evaluate each expression using a scientific calculator or cell phone. I'm not going to have you guys do a cell phone. I got calcs here. Practice using the parentheses, exponents, and operations. So right here we're going to put evaluate. I'm going to put calc is okay for these, okay? We're going to evaluate, and the calculator is going to be okay. So in this group, you guys have 5 different problems, so we're only going to do 2. So here's the first one. It says 2 squared, parenthesis 3 minus -5. So I'm going to use the calculator. They want me to practice using the calculator. So let me bring up the calculator here. Okay, and I'm going to put 2 squared, and again, your calculators might look different than mine, so you know, don't freak out. I have a bunch of different calculators. I just don't have a normal looking one. I have all these scientific ones and graphing ones. So 2 squared, parentheses 3 minus -5. So I'm going to put 3 minus -5 and hit enter. And my answer is 32. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to write 32. I don't have to show any work. They just want me to do this on a calculator. Okay? So I'll do one more on a calculator, and then we'll move on. But just so you guys can see how I utilize my parentheses, I'm gonna do this one right here. 90 times 2, -8 plus 28. So normally this right here is a tough one because you have all these fractions and things on the top and bottom of fractions and negative in the very front. So you're going to have to use your calculator wisely when you're doing this. So let me go ahead and bring it up here. So this is what I'm going to do. I notice it's a negative in the front, so I'm going to type a negative. Okay, and by the way, some of your calculators might look different than mine, so when you're putting this in, it might actually write it as a fraction. If you have some of the newer ones, some of the older ones, it might write it in a normal line. So I'm going to show you what I would do. So I have my negative there. I notice I have a fraction, so I'm going to use parentheses to isolate the numerator and the denominator. Okay, so I'm going to, whoops, sorry about that. So parenthesis 90 times 2. There's my numerator. And then I'm going to hit divided by. So right now the calculator knows I'm making a fraction. The parenthesis stuff goes on top. And now I'm going to put another parenthesis, -8 plus 28. Okay, again, they want you to use a calculator for these parts right here because they want to make sure you know how to use them properly. I'm going to hit enter. It says -9. There's my answer. So let's go ahead and write that down. -9. Now, I do recommend when you guys do this in your homework, practice even these just to make sure you can do them. Okay? All right. Now, there's one more section where they're giving you 7 problems. Okay? And these 7 problems actually have to do not just order of operations, but with variables too. Okay? So they're kind of making you revisit adding and subtracting variables and like terms. So let me just really quick introduce that to you guys. So like terms. Now remember, like terms, these are terms that have the same variable, and in parentheses, I'm going to put and power. So these are terms that have the same variable and power, but not necessarily the same coefficient. Now, coefficient means number in front, okay? I'm going to put that right here. Number in front. It's always important for me to make sure you guys learn the correct vocabulary. Sometimes when some math teachers teach, they just say the number in the front doesn't have to match. Well, that's great. But then when you take a state test and they say which ones have the same coefficient, you're like, what the heck is a coefficient, right? So coefficient means the number in front, okay? So I'll kind of highlight that for us. Okay, that's a good word. I'm never going to test you guys on vocabulary, just so you know. Okay, I'm not going to have a vocabulary list and see if you can remember it. But it's good for you guys to know. So here we go. This is example number 3 or number 3 here. So here's one of the first that they're going to want us to simplify. So simplify is all they want us to do. Part A looks like this. Again, if you guys are okay, I'll do 3 examples. That means that you just have to do 4 on your own. We're over 20 minutes. You can see the counter right there. We're at 21 minutes. But if you're okay with it, I'll do 3 total. That way I knock off a little bit more of your homework, and you just got to worry about doing about half of it. All right? So you guys remember from before, what can I join together? What are like terms? N and 3n, right? My n and 3n are like terms. So I'm going to write those together. Okay, these are like terms. So n plus 3n, that's 4n. And then the numbers obviously can go together. Negative 6 plus 7, what's that? 1, right? Positive 1. And that's it. I cannot add the rest of this together because 4n and 1 do not have the same variable. So you can't combine them. It's like saying this apple and this orange, they go together. Like, well, no, they can. You can put them together, but nothing happens, right? You can't join them. So same idea here. 4n plus 1 is just 4n plus 1. So there's one of them. Let's try another one here. And remember, if for some reason you're kind of missed something, I'm going to give you guys these notes later. And after I'm done, you can always ask me to go back, so don't worry. Let's do this one here. We'll go one that's a little bit harder. So 4 times 9 minus 8r minus 6r. Can I do anything inside of the parenthesis? No, right? Sometimes people say 9 minus 8 is 1, so it's 1r. But remember, you can't subtract them. They're not the same. They don't both have the same letter r. So all I have to do is what? Distribute. I like hearing that word. A lot of my students say multiply, which is good. It's not wrong. But the correct term is distribution, which is multiplication, right? But I like hearing the vocabulary whenever you guys know it. So here we go. 4 times 9 is going to give me 36. Minus 4 times 8, that's 32r. Minus the 6r that's on the outside. And I can combine the last 2 terms, right? Negative 32r minus 6r. Those are like terms. So this is negative 32r minus 6r is, all right, negative 38. Negative 38r, and we're done. I cannot combine those last 2 terms because they both don't have the letter r. Okay? All right, I'll do one more and then we're done. Do you guys want me to do the hardest one? All right. There we go. I always try to do the most difficult one. That way at least you see what it looks like. I always do encourage you guys to try to do it on your own, just to make sure you could have done it by yourself. And I mean, this isn't terribly difficult. It looks like it's difficult. But that's the way it's written. All right, so can I do anything inside any of the parentheses? No, I can't. I can't combine 10n plus 2. I can't do that. I can't combine 1 minus 6n. I can't do that. But what can I do? Distribute, right? I can multiply, I can distribute. So let's do that. So we're going to do both at the same time just so we don't waste time, right? So negative 5 times 10n is negative 50n. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. All right. Now I know that there's a plus there. Right in the middle, there's a plus. But I also know that I'm about to distribute a negative number. So that negative could change everything. So negative 4 times a 1 is negative 4. Okay? And negative 4 times a negative 6n, positive 24n. All right? I can combine negative 50n plus 24n. Okay? My answer will be negative because 50 has a lower value, right? So negative 50n plus 24n is negative what? 26, thank you. Negative 26n. And then negative 10 minus 4, negative 14. And there you go. You stop right there. So this is it. This is what you guys got for homework today.